Alright, let's have a quick look at this then. I want to clear a few things up, because I did do a video on how chokes work a while back, but I don't think it's a very good one. It was on an old pressure washer. People say they learned stuff, but I get some people saying it weren't any good because of the way that I filmed it. So let's have another look then. I want to try and clear a few things up, because a lot of people still don't understand how they work, and a lot of people still you know, they say stuff that irritates me. So let's have a look on this carburetor here. We have an ordinary carburetor that you'd usually find on a pit bike or some kind of little bike with a stupid engine like this. So we've got a little lever here, little black lever, and this particular one's actually got a half choke, which is quite rare actually. You don't really see it either on or off. But anyway, that does that. And that is no choke, that's half a choke, and that's full choke. So if you have a look here, hopefully we're about to get the light and right in these shadows. Right, what we can do is we can see here the little butterfly, a little choke butterfly. That's no choke now, so that's how you would usually be riding the bike with the choke off, if we can ever focus on it. There we go. So if I put it on half a choke, you can see that it does that. That restricts approximately half of the airflow. Now if we put it on full choke, that's that completely closed now. The only air what's going to get in is to the right and the left hand sides. There's little gaps. That's the only air that's going to get in, plus through them little... Where are we? Where's my finger? There it is. Plus through them little holes there. So that is full choke. Half choke, no choke. Now a lot of people don't seem to understand. I still see people making videos where they're trying to start up their bikes, and their little irritating friend, or themselves, they say put the choke on, or don't put the choke on because you'll flood it. That's a load of crap, man. The choke doesn't do anything on a bike car anyway. Doesn't add any fuel. You won't flood the engine or the carburetor by putting the choke on. All you're doing by putting the choke on is restricting the airflow. That's all you're doing. You're not adding any fuel at all. No more fuel is going to be added. The only way that a choke works, yes, it makes the engine richer, but not by adding fuel, but by taking away the air, so that the mixture is not as lean as it was before. It's richer because there's less air to mix with the fuel, therefore creating a richer mixture. That's how it works. Yeah, so so it doesn't flood the engine by putting a choke on this design of carburetor. It does not flood the engine. I got to put it out there, man, because when I'm sitting there watching these videos and people are like, oh no, don't leave the choke on because you'll flood the engine. You know, you can't flood the engine by leaving the choke on. I leave that on for 6 years and it won't flood the engine at all. There you go. So that hopefully now that's cleared up. Now I know there's probably only going to be a handful of people watching this to understand it, but I live in hope that I help some people understand how this bloody thing works. So there you go, sweet friends. Alright you lot, I'm just doing a bit of work on the pit bike here, and I've decided I want to clear up a myth. I hear a lot of myths on the internet, watching a lot of videos, a lot of myths, and I see some people, they're trying to start up a bike, a dirt bike, or 450 or whatever, 4-stroke or 2-stroke, and what they try and do to prime it is they get the throttle here and they do that. They're sitting there doing that, yeah, and I'm like, well, what's going on? What's this guy doing? Is he making sure it's working or what? What's going on? And then he goes, I'm priming it. Yeah, I'm priming it. Yeah, there's no fuel in the carb, so I'm priming it. Yep. Like that. What an idiot. On these particular design of carburetors, on any bike carburetor, doing the throttle does not prime the engine at all. It's ridiculous. On some cars, older cars, they had little pumps, so when you push the throttle, it squirted a little bit of fuel in. But on these ones, it doesn't prime it at all. So if you're sitting there, you could sit there and twist that throttle for 6 years straight and there won't be any fuel going in there. The only way fuel goes in is by vacuum, it gets sucked in. pulling that throttle does not prime it. I don't know, I'm going to get a torch so we can see the throttle in there. Right, there we go. You can see that little butterfly plate which is open in the front. That's the choke. And then just behind that, you'll see there's a little black, I forget what it's called now, a little black thing with a gold thing at the bottom. Right, so when you twist that, that goes up and down. So let me, if I take the torch away, hold on a minute, let me rig this up. Right, there we go, I've rigged it up. So when you twist the throttle, that goes up, right? And then that goes down. So we're on tick over now. What that does is that restricts the airflow and the fuel. So when you're opening that up, we're twisting the throttle now, see, more air is going to go in because there's more room for it to go through. It lets it through. So it's a valve basically, that's what it is, it's a valve. And as the more air goes through, it drags fuel with it. See, so the more air goes in, the more fuel that can go in. But only when it's running. Only when it's running, my friends. When it's not running, nothing's happening. Only when it's running. Because that's when, you know, the vacuum is created by the piston pulling it through. So there's no way you're going to prime it by putting that throttle. You know, peeps, I've noticed as well when I've sat on some people's bikes and I've just pulled the throttle just for fun. No, don't do that, you'll flood it. You dickhead, go away. So that's that, my friends. While we're on myths, this isn't enough to fit in one video, so I'm going to add it on to the end of this one. While we're on myths, now some people seem to think that when you're starting up a motorbike, no matter what it be, you shouldn't pull the throttle. Now this is, it depends. Now two strokes, they like to have the throttle pulled a little bit. Just open it a little bit up when you kick it. In general, just to get it going. Now the only time really that it doesn't help to pull any of the throttle is on like a 450 or something, because they have such high compression. If you pull the throttle when you're kicking it, you're adding a bit of fuel, and it can just, you know, it doesn't really. It's difficult. It's difficult to explain unless you've done it yourself, because they're quite difficult to kick anyway. So if you're putting the throttle, they don't really tend to like that. I know mine didn't. So if you just kick them one tick over, they usually have a high enough tick over that they'll work anyway. So on something like a pit bike, which has next to no compression anyway, you know, they have really low compression compared to a 450 or a 250 or even a proper full-size dirt bike. You're going to want to pull the throttle a little bit, and especially if you put it on if it's cold on choke, because these butterfly chokes, they like to have a bit of throttle with them. They don't generally then tend to like to be started on tick over. So if you've got a butterfly choke like this, just add a little bit of throttle and you'll find that it will start a lot easier when it's cold than if you was trying to start it without any throttle. That doesn't mean rev it as soon as it starts, that just means kick it, pull the throttle a bit, so you kick it and you got that, yeah, as you're kicking it, yeah, because it just helps it out a little bit. I see a lot of people struggling, and I know from personal experience, it does help if you do that. You know, so I hope that helped you. I'll try to cover up a few myths, clear up a few myths, I mean, because, you know, some people, they just never learn. But hey ho, nice one.